and salutations, it's me, Salty. Welcome back to 2 Cents Toys, and today we're going over the Star Wars Vintage Collection Slave 1. Now, this is a reissue from the Amazon exclusive from, 2012? Something like that. It was a while back, at any rate. I owned the Amazon exclusive one when it came out. It was part of collection number 2 that, I ended up selling, and I never opened it. Believe it or not, I got it and it just sat in its box. That's the kind of collector I was at the time. I didn't open anything. So for all I know, I could have bought it and there could have been bricks inside of it. But I picked this up at my local GameStop for the low price of like $140 or something like that. Something ridiculous. But it's one of my pre-orders that actually showed up, which is weird because I'm still waiting on Count Dooku, Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, Clone Commander Bly, the Yellow Ranger. I'm still waiting on a lot of pre-orders for them, but for some reason this one showed up. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go over the box real quick. You see we get the vintage style front with Kenner, the racetrack, Empire Strikes Back. Figures not included, of course. Includes display stand. On the top of the box, you see we get Empire Strikes Back, some additional pictures of the ship. On the bottom of the box, we get some legalese on this side, and additional pictures of different gimmicks that the ship can do, like missile firing and, pivoting the wings and the like. The side of the box has a Star Wars logo, another picture of the ship and the bomb deploying gimmick. The other side of the box has another Star Wars logo and just a picture of, some of the compartments within the ship. And the back of the box is more or less the same as the front, except we get Vintage Collection up here and Hasbro and Disney logos at the bottom. Now that the box is out of the way, I'm going to get it open, I'm going to assemble it and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll review the ship. And this is probably the most unruly box I've had to deal with in this little workstation. And there it is, folks. That is the Slave 1 all put together. And I had to do some real finagling to try and get that whole thing within camera shot. And even then, I had to sacrifice a little bit. Just to give you an idea, it's 3 3/4 Boba Fett standing next to it. So this thing is absolutely massive. It is gigantic. I guess we'll just start from the bottom up. Here we have the cannons, which they do pivot and they fire projectiles. By compressing a button here on the back, you fire these projectiles out, these little missiles. When you spin though, this bottom part does rub against the hull of the ship. Be cognizant of that if you want to avoid, paint transfer and the like. This is the flight stand that it comes on. It's just a large chunk of acrylic, but it does have Boba Fett's sigil down here at the bottom. Looking at the back of the ship, you can see all this incredible detail that's painted on and sculpted in here. They updated the paint apps here on the back, so I believe these were completely yellow on the last one, I think. There is housing for these little, bombs or space mines or whatever. Buttons on the side, just release them. The spring on this one seems to be bad on mine. So there's that. That's a close-up on one of the space mines, or I guess bombs for lack of a better word, if you want to get a closer look at it. Makes me think of Super Metroid, actually. The cockpit here is kind of on a gyroscope of sorts. It does coordinate with the wings. There's a latch here in the back that when the wings are down, it catches the cockpit and keeps it from falling forward. With that, these wings do not stay up very well. So the moment there's a little bit of a release, they kind of fall down like that. And it does take some, you kind of have to push them up, and even then, you got to keep pushing. You heard that first click, you keep pushing until you hear that second click, and then they'll stay in place. The space to house the Han and Carbonite is still up here at the top, unfortunately. You can fit it down in the body here if you want to, but, they did keep it up here, which we'll go over some of the accessories in better detail later on. As compared to the Amazon exclusive one, there have been updates to the paint. I feel like it's more kind of weathered throughout. These are actually a darker color than the initial release, I believe. And down here at the bottom is a single tab that holds this whole flange in place right here next to my thumb. Kind of unfortunate, but it's the world we live in, I suppose. That gives you a kind of a peek inside the hull here. Lots of foot pegs, places to stand people. This is the storage bay for that little clamshell thing that comes with the ship. And in here is the cockpit that stands vertically, which I wish there was some sort of door or something so that way you didn't have to pull them out of the front. But, I guess it's meant to display, not to play. At the, kind of the nose of the ship, underneath here there's a little tab to pull, which pulls this little drawbridge thing down and gives us the little container for different prisoners. Now, the initial release, I believe, was all in this kind of gray color. They've opted to give you the top half in translucence this time. Clams together, clams shut. good for storing extra figures if you want. And there is a little track here to keep it from sliding around, so it'll stay put. There's also the little gantry or the little walkway. You just pull up and out and it'll slide down. Unfortunately, as you can see, it leads to nowhere. It just dead ends right there. I suppose you could fit accessories in here, maybe another figure, one on the slimmer side of life. You could probably fit one in there, but it's not going to fit the carbonite block. Here's a close-up on those cannons. You know, like I said, they swivel, and you can see down here, this bottom little square does rub into the hull whenever you spin it. That's the button there on the back for release. You just push it, and it goes flying across to Never Never Land, to never be seen again. That's to give you kind of a bird's eye view of the cockpit. You can see that you can fit 3 figures, 1 in the front, 2 in the back. So you could put, you know, Boba there in the front, and maybe Bosk and IG-88 or Forlom or Zuckuss or any other bounty hunter pop culture reference that you'd like to fit in the back. You get 3 clips to clip them in there. There's even detail on the floors you can see, and there's Han still shown out in the back. Speaking of Han, this is the carbonite block you get. It's very good actually, I think. It's a little skinny, but that's okay. It's very rectangular. I'm used to the, you know, that kind of trapezoid shape, but it is what it is, I suppose. Sculpted details on the side with all the buttons and all that. And it's actually a complete block. It's not a hollow piece like you normally get. You know, compared to the Kenner one, you can see it's slightly larger. Kenner one's a little bit thicker, but that's the trapezoid shape I was talking about that we're all used to. And seeing as I no longer own the Amazon exclusive one, nor my Kenner Slave one, both of those were sold in collection number 2. The only comparison I can really make to another Slave one is to the Shadows of the Empire Slave one, which was the Hasbro re-release that used the Kenner molds. As you can see, there's a noticeable size difference between the two. Boba Fett's are about the same size, roughly. They're in the 3 3/4 scale. Some of the advantages to the original Kenner mold was the ramp sliding down, and it kind of connected to that back compartment. That's where you housed the Han and Carbonite. Also, the handle on the back that allowed you to manipulate the ship and actually utilize it in playtime. So you could hold it by a handle. Also, it utilized a trigger system that, you know, kind of kept the wings flat or vertical. So if you're in for a landing, you know, you could hold the trigger up here and then let go for flight. And the argument could be made that this was a toy meant to be played with, where this is meant to be displayed. You know, some people can argue that. At the end of the day, though, it is a toy. One thing that really hasn't changed, though, is Boba Fett in the cockpit. In the Kenner mold, or at least the Shadow of the Empire mold with that particular Boba Fett, he doesn't fit into the waist clamps very well. Just like this Boba tends to lean this whole thing forward. Or in flight mode, there's nothing to keep it still, whereas in landing, you know, it latches onto something in the back and keeps it stationary. So I guess if you put 2 figures back here, it'll probably balance it out. Which, putting 2 Dreadnoks back there, it confirms does balance it out. So I guess you're supposed to use 3 figures in there instead of just allowing Boba to fly solo. But the clips that go around the waist are very small and kind of requires a lot of finagling to get them down in there, especially Boba with the kind of pouches on the side, and he won't fit with his jetpack. I just tried. Maybe someone else can do that, but I couldn't figure out a way, at least with that particular Boba Fett, to get him in there with his jetpack on. So the main takeaway here is that there were some improvements that they should have made. It has the same problems that the Amazon exclusive had with the wings, the cockpit, storing Han up at the top, the ramp not being large enough and kind of going nowhere. That hasn't changed. I do like the updated paint. You know, having seen some of the exclusive ones in person, you know, at conventions and the like, you know, I feel like this is a better representation paint and color wise. I do like the size. I love the inclusion of the stand. However, like I said, this is about $140. At least it was at GameStop, so it's in the $120, $140 range depending where you get it. The Amazon exclusive one when it came out was $69.99, I believe, or like $70. So it's almost twice as expensive for the same mold, just with updated paint. I don't know if that's inflation or price gouging or what, because that's a hell of a price difference. That being said, the Amazon exclusive one on the secondhand market was going for like $500 at one point, I believe. It's nice for people who missed out on the Amazon exclusive one and they want one, or people like me who had the Amazon one and sold it and want a new one, but I'm not paying $500 for it. I don't know. It's not perfect. I don't think any ship ever will be, just because, there's always going to be something messed up somewhere, or, I don't like the buttons on the side, or I don't like the canopy coming forward instead of being able to leave through the front. But at the same time, I really like it. Can I recommend it? That's the big thing. If you are more than content with the Shadows of the Empire, Kenner mold, keep it that way. You don't have to get this. If you are a diehard Boba fan and you don't have the Amazon exclusive one and you want one that's, all fancy and blown up and all that kind of stuff, I would get this one instead of the Amazon exclusive one. That's just me. I like the paint on this one better. It's got a flight stand that comes with it. Like, is that worth double the price, the flight stand? No, because you could 3D print one of those, or I'm sure they're available on the eBay markets of the world. It's just a matter of price, I guess. It's a little more expensive than it should be, in my opinion, just because, again, that's a substantial price difference between the original release and now. But that could be inflation, cost of plastic, or you might just be paying for the Empire Strikes Back logo on the box. Who knows? Really quick before I leave, there's a sticker sheet for stickers that go on the inside. I'm a keep the stickers on the sheet kind of guy, just because I'm really terrible at sticker placement. So rather than risk messing it up, I'm just going to keep them right here. And that's all I got for you. I know the video was kind of disjointed. I don't review ships very often, and without the Amazon exclusive one to compare it directly to, it's kind of doing what I can with what I got, as they say. Let me know down below if you think this is a total ripoff, or if you have the Amazon one and you're just going to keep it that way, or maybe you have the Amazon one and you like this one better because of the paint. Are you a Kenner purist? Maybe you only want the Kenner version, which I know that's not Kenner, but you know what I mean. So if you like the video, then please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It means the world to me, all the support that I've been receiving. You guys are really the best. You make this worth it to me. I love engaging with you guys in the comments and having these discussions. So till next time, thanks for stopping by. I'm Salty, signing off.